session is called to order. Everybody is requested to rise for the singing of the national anthem. Remain standing.
Madam Speaker, today being the feast of Saint Francis of Assisi, may I lead us into the prayer attributed to Saint Francis.
Please proceed.
Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. When there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is darkness, light, and when there is sadness, joy. Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we call the roll of members.
The Secretary General is directed to call the roll of members.
Roll call of members. Honorable Representatives Abad, Abaya, Abayon, Abellanosa, Abu, Abueg, Acharon, Acop, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adiong, Advincula, Agaraw, Agabaw, Aglibay Villar, Albano, Alcala, Alejano, Almario, Almonte, Alonte, Alvarez Franz, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amatong, Andaya, Angara Castillo, Antonino, Antonio, Aquino Magsaysay, Aragones, Arbizon, Arcillas, Arenas, Atienza, Aumentado, Bagao, Bagatsing, Bagilat, Banal, Barbers, Barzaga, Batawil, Batocabe, Bautista Bandigan, Belaro, Belmonte Feliciano, Belmonte Jose Christopher, Belmonte Ricardo, Benitez, Bernos, Bertiz, Biazon, Billones, Biron, Bolilia, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo Anthony, Bravo Maria Vida, Brosas, Bulot Bectang, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto Rubiano, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Cari, Casilaw, Castelo, Castro Franz, Castro Fred, Catamco, Cayetano, Celeste, Serapica, Ceriles, Chavez, Chipeco, Jo, Coanco, Colliantes, Cortés, Fortuna, Cosalan, Cristólogo, Cua, Quaresma, Cueve, Dalipe, Datol, Daza, de Jesús, de Venecia, de Vera, de Pensor, del Mar, de Rosario, de Los Montalia, di Maporo Abdullah, di Maporo Muhammad, Duabit, Durano, D. Elago, Enverga, Erice, Erigel, Ermita Buhain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Eusebio, Ebardoni, Cariñas, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Ferriol, Lorendo, Flores, Fortuno, Fuentebella, Garbin, Garcia Gwendolyn, Garcia Jose Enrique, Garcia Albano, Garin Oscar, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Heron, Go Ana Cristina, Go Mark, Gomez, Gonzaga, Gonzales Alexandria, Gonzales Aurelio Dong, Gonzales Fernando, Goriseta, Gulias, Hernandez, Herrera D, Hopper, Alos Hos, Javier, Ko, Konghun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lagman, Lanete, Laugan, Lazatin, Leachon, Lee, Lim Kaishong, Lobregat, Lopez Benhar, Lopez Carlo, Lopez Manuel, Loyola, Macapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Manalo, Mangawang, mga Dadwato Soharto, mga Dadato Zahid, Marcoleta, Marcos, Marino, Marquez, Martinez, Matugas, Meliana, Mending, Mendoza, Mercado, Mirasol, Montoro, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Carlo, Nolasco, Núñez Malañaon, Oaminal, Ocampo, Olivares, Ong Edwin, Ong Henry, Ortega Pablo, Ortega Bininola, Pacquiao, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panganiban, Panotes, Papandayan, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Remisias Agabas, Kimbo, Radaza, Ramirez Sato, Ramos, Relampagos, Revilla, Rawapuno, Robes, Rocamora, Rodriguez Isidro, Rodriguez Maximo, Roman, Romero, Romualdez, Romualdo, Roque Hari, Roque Rogelio, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sahali, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Salon, Sambar, Sandoval, Santos Recto, Sarmiento Cesar, Sarmiento Edgar Meri, Sabeliano, Sema, Siao, Silverio, Singson, Swansing Estrelita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez, Si Alvarado, Tan Bunting, Tan Angelina, Tan Milagrosa, Tan Sherni, Tejada, Tebes, Tiangco, Ting, Tinio, Tolentino, Treñas, Tugna, Tupas, Torabinataman, Pi, Umali, Unabia, Ungab, Unico, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Uy Barreta, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velarde, Velasco, Velasco Catera, Veloso, Vergara, Villafuerte, Villanueva, Villaraza Suarez, Villarica, Villarin, Biolago, Yap Arthur, Yap Melesio, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Maria Carmen, Zamora Ronaldo, Zarate, Subiri. Madam Speaker, the roll call shows that 217 members responded to the call.
With 217 members responding to the call, the chair declares a quorum.
Madam Speaker, before we approve Journal Number 32, may I acknowledge the presence of the guest of Representative Dakila Carlo A. Kua from the Australian Parliamentary Delegation, Senator Saikakoski Moore. She is the senator from the Parliament of the Commonwealth of Australia, representing South Australia.
She has initiated amendments in the Criminal Code of Australia in order to impose tougher jail sentences for Australians who pay to view the sexual abuse of children in developing countries such as the Philippines. The senators also with Ms. Karina Nat, Ms. Jessica Slater.
Please stand. Welcome to the House of Representatives.
Madam Speaker, we would also like to acknowledge the presence of members of International Justice Mission, headed by Attorney Samson Inocencio, a National Director. In his company is Attorney Ray Bicol, Evelyn
Please
Pingol,
stand.
Nati Sanger, Attorney Noel Eballe, Erika Ryan, and Cherry Weber, Madam Speaker.
Welcome to the House of Representatives.
Madam Speaker, I move that we approve Journal Number 32, dated October 3, 2017.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, we'd like to acknowledge the presence of the guest of Representative Lucy Torres Gomez. They are her constituents from the municipality of Palumpon, Leyte, headed by Mayor Ramon Oñate.
Please rise. Welcome to the House of Representatives.
Madam Speaker, I move that we now proceed with the reference of business and request that the Secretary General be directed to read the titles of bills and resolutions on first reading, as well as communications and committee reports.
The Secretary General is directed to read the titles of the House resolutions and House bills.
Reference of business, bills on first reading, House Bill 6503, amending certain sections of Republic Act Number 9287, Representative Luis.
To the Committee on Games and Amusements.
House Bill 6504, mandating the secretaries of the DOF, NEDA, and DBM, and the governor of the BSP to appear biannually before the joint session of Congress to report on the status and directions of the fiscal and monetary policies of the state. Representative Villapuerte.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
House Bill 6505, instituting a new water code. Representative Antonio.
To the Committee on Natural Resources.
Resolutions, House Resolution 1354, expressing the sense of the House for the designation of DPWH as the National Infrastructure Agency. Representative Sabillano.
To the Committee on Public Works and Highways.
House Resolution 1355, urging President Rodrigo R. Duterte to nominate Miriam Defensor Santiago for conferment of the Quezon Service Cross. Representative Swansing Horacio.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1356, congratulating and commending the Philippine team for winning silver medals. Representative Estrella.
To the Committee on Youth and Sports Development.
House Resolution 1357, congratulating and commending the Philippine team for winning bronze medals. Representative Estrella.
To the Committee on Youth and Sports Development.
Communication, report of Attorney Cesar Straight Pareja, Secretary General, House of Representatives, on enrolled bill, consolidated Senate Bill and number 1584 and House Bill 6308.
To the Archives.
Committee reports, report numbers 418 and 419 on House Resolution numbers 134 and 10.
To the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, we would like to acknowledge the presence of the guests of Representative Rodolfo T. Albano III. They are from the Philippine Cannabis Compassion Society. Ms. Ana Capunan, Mr. J. De Leon, Kimi Del Prado, Donabel Conanan, Baby Muasab, Girly Cleopas Mapa, Jenny Larga, Agnes Oxon Bioco, Sil Sampaiso, Cecil Cerda, Rowena Pilapil, Lincoln Lagandaon, Den Malyare, Juan Pablo Gopez, Miki Macacho, Lu Eugenio, Nika Matibag, and Jose Basa.
Please rise. Welcome to the House of Representatives.
Madam Speaker, under the calendar of business for the day, I move that we consider House Bill number 6517 as contained in Committee Report number 402, submitted by the Committee on Health.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, I move that the chairperson of the committee, or rather the author of the bill, be recognized to begin the sponsorship of the measure, Representative Rodolfo T. Albano III.
Honorable Rodolfo Albano is
Madam Speaker,
maybe-
I move that the Secretary General read the bill.
the Secretary General is directed to read the House Bill 6517.
House Bill number 6517, an act providing compassionate and right of access to medical cannabis and expanding research into its medical properties.
Madam
Majority
Speaker,
Leader.
I move that the author of the bill, Representative Rodolfo T. Albano III, be recognized to begin sponsorship of the measure. So move, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Rodolfo Albano III is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader. I'm a little bit high now, not because of the cannabis, Mr. Speaker, but because I'm very elated that this bill, through Chairperson Helen Tan, has reached the floor. So, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, today, hundreds of thousands of patients suffering from serious and debilitating diseases are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. After 3 years of persistent and unrelenting advocacy, they are overflowing with hope and optimism that finally they will benefit from the legalization of the medical use of cannabis. Please roll the video.
every day, nag-asisyo. Oh, ako, I am 34 years old and me. Yes. Oh, kandigan, maliwanag. Thank you po.
Wala na, baby, wala na.
Mr. Speaker, it is time for us to decide based on evidence. Around the world, clinical trials have shown the safety and efficacy of cannabis and its naturally occurring compounds, as well as their therapeutic and palliative effects. 27 countries and 29 states in the United States plus Washington, D.C. have passed laws legalizing medical cannabis. Mr. Speaker, House Bill 6517, or the Philippine Compassionate and Medical Cannabis Act, promotes the people's right to health by ensuring affordable and safe access to quality medical cannabis under a very strict regulatory framework. It will be available only to qualified patients with IDs issued by the Department of Health after S3 licensed doctors have made a full assessment of their medical history and current medical conditions. Should these patients require follow-up care, the S3 licensed doctors shall provide the same. Medical cannabis shall only be available in hospital-based medical cannabis compassionate centers through pharmacies with S3 license. PIDEA, the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, shall have a key role in monitoring and regulating the dispensing of medical cannabis in health facilities. Research and testing can only be done by the Medical Cannabis Research and Safety Compliance Facilities licensed by DOH and the DDB. The Dangerous Drugs Board shall formulate the regulations regarding the allowable sources and methods to access medical cannabis. Madam Speaker, HB 6517 does not decriminalize the use of cannabis. Neither does the bill allow smoking of cannabis. The recreational use of cannabis continues to be prohibited by law. What this proposed measure does, it to rely on the limited and narrow exception provided for under the Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. Thus, a physician will now be allowed to prescribe medical cannabis to patients only with serious and debilitating medical conditions which will respond to medical cannabis treatment. This proposed measure does not amend or in any way contravene the Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002, which recognized the medical use of drugs, including cannabis in Section 2. Neither does it contravene the UN Single Convention on Narcotics as amended by the 1972 Protocol as it explicitly allows for medical and scientific purpose the production, manufacture, export, import, distribution, trade in, use, and possession of drugs. Article 4. Mr. Speaker, one may ask, why are you pushing for the legalization of medical cannabis at this time when we are at war against drugs? Madam Speaker, the Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002 declares the government shall aim to achieve a balance in the National Drug Control Program so that people with legitimate medical needs are not prevented from being treated with adequate amounts of appropriate medications, which include the use of dangerous drugs. On behalf of countless suffering patients who will benefit from this measure, I would like to thank you, Madam Speaker, and the distinguished members of the House for your support. Mabuhay po tayo lahat. Thank you very much.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize Representative Jose Atienza Jr. of Party List Buhay.
Madam Speaker.
You are recognized, Honorable Atienza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With the kind indulgence and permission of the sponsor, this representation would like to interpellate him on very important, sensitive portions of his proposal.
Madam Speaker, I promise the Rules Committee that interpellation will be done next week because another bill is scheduled today, Madam Speaker. So may I beg the indulgence of the gentleman from Manila. I can answer all his questions next week.
So is the gentleman
Yes.
accepting the request of this representation?
Next week, Mr. Speaker.
Next week.
Surely I accept your interpellation, but I promise the Rules Committee that it will only be for me to open my sponsorship speech.
Madam
So
Speaker,
I beg your indulgence.
we
Madam Chair and-
we gladly accept the position of the sponsor that he prefers to be interpellated next week. So we therefore reserve the right that next week when we tackle the same measure, this representation be given the priority as the first to interpellate the gentleman, as we are prepared to do so now. But since he would rather be interpellated next week, then we will reserve that particular right.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Gentleman
Majority
from Manila.
Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill number 6517.
Is there any objections? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, I move that we include the following representatives Madam Speaker, under the calendar of unfinished business, I move that we resume consideration of House Bill number 6452 as contained in Committee Report number 393 submitted by the Committee on Health, and for this purpose may I ask that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill.
The Secretary General is directed to read House Bill 6452.
House Bill number 6452, an act establishing a national mental health policy for the purpose of enhancing the delivery of integrated mental health services, promoting and protecting the rights of persons utilizing psychiatric, neurologic, and psychological health services, and appropriating funds therefore.
Madam Speaker, I move that we include the following representatives as co-authors of House Bill number 6452, establishing a national mental health policy. Representative Ann Hofer of the 2nd District of Zamboanga, Sibugay, Representative Binky Noel of Anwaray Party List, Representative Francisco Jose Matugas II, 1st District, Surigao del Norte, Representative Vinnie Nola Ortega of Party List Abono, Representative Crystal Bagatsing of the 5th District of Manila, and Representative Lucy Torres Gomez of the 4th District of Leyte.
Is there any objections? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, the parliamentary status of the bill is that it is in the period of sponsorship and debate. I move that we recognize Representative Cristina Chiqui Roa Puno of Antipolo City, 1st District. So moved, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Chiki Roa Puno is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm ready to take the additional questions that the Honorable Lagban
Madam
wanted to
Speaker,
ask.
I move that we recognize the gentleman from Albay, 1st District, Representative Edsel Lagman.
Honorable Edsel Lagman is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Before I continue my interpellation, let me state that yesterday I forgot to mention that Napoleon Bonaparte and Adolf Hitler were afflicted with narcissistic personality disorder, which is a mental disorder in which people have an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for admiration, and lack of empathy for others. But behind this mask of ultra-confidence lies a fragile self-esteem that's vulnerable to the slightest criticism. From this reference, Madam Speaker, the distinguished members of the House can pick up from this definition of this particular personality disorder. Now, may I proceed, Madam Speaker, distinguished sponsor. On Section 10G, it is mentioned that the general guidelines set by the National Commission on Mental Health should be pursued. But may we know what is the status of the National Commission on Mental Health?
Madam Speaker, the National Commission, the mention of the National Commission of Mental Health is merely a typographical error or a mistake that was already seen at the TWG level and was not fixed in time for the preparation of this bill. For this, we thank the Honorable Lagman for spotting it. I think the error arose because the possibility of a commission was being talked about during the TWG, but in the end, the idea was dismissed and not included in the consideration of the final version of this final substitute bill. So we beg the indulgence of the Honorable Lagman, and we thank him for pointing out the error. We will rectify this error during the committee amendments, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, distinguished sponsor. Because I understand this National Commission on Mental Health is not an existing agency. It has never been created.
Yes, Madam Speaker. It should have read Philippine Mental Health Council as we were discussing yesterday.
Now, let me go to my next subject, and this is with respect to the appropriation language. Section 28 of the bill on appropriations provides, and I quote, "The amount necessary for the initial implementation of the provisions of this Act shall be charged against the current year's appropriations of the Department of Health. Thereafter, such sums may be necessary for the continued implementation of this Act shall be included in the annual General Appropriations Act." This is the usual language with respect to appropriations in several measures. But considering the importance and overriding significance of this bill, I think we should be able to provide for a specific appropriation for the initial implementation of the measure so that such implementation will not be delayed and will be properly funded. May we know from the distinguished sponsor what is the definite amount or a specific amount or estimated amount for the initial implementation of the Mental Health Act?
Madam Speaker, let me refer to the budget allocation for mental health provided by the DOH for, it's a 6-year plan that started in 2012, ending in 2018, where we see that by the year 2018, a budget of 2.9 billion has already been allocated for mental health, compared to the 5.434 billion that was allocated for this year. The discrepancy is noted because last year, or for this year, 2017, much of the budget was allocated for the building of certain facilities and the operation of drug abuse rehabilitation centers, and also for mental health drugs. There was a large purchase done this year, which should be able to satisfy the needs for 2018, and thus the difference in the budget allocations from 2017 to 2018. Looking at the big picture, Madam Speaker, the DOH has historically budgeted about 5% of its entire allocation for mental health. And looking forward to the passage of this legislation, we are confident that the DOH will allocate what is needed to get it started, and we look to the GAA, the General Appropriations, to be able to fund the mental health programs that we look forward to starting next year, hopefully, when our legislation is passed. This would come to about 7.9 billion pesos, and this amount is taken from computations based on the needs of community-based mental health programs that we were talking about yesterday. After some pencil pushing and some research, we were able to come up with an approximation or an estimation of how much a community-based mental health program would cost. And without going through all of the sordid details, we can say that probably 4 million pesos allotted for each municipality to get started with a community-based program would be enough. Multiply this by the 1,489 municipalities we have in the country, we would come up to about, or to be exact, 6.186 billion a year. And that is just for the community-based mental health program. Add to that the funds that we need for the information campaign that we hope to start, and possibly the addition of medicines, and also the educational requirements to capacitate the barangay health workers, the effort to try to increase the number of physicians pursuing the fields within mental health. We quote the budget estimate of 7.906 billion to start the comprehensive mental health program, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Well, my question really was, what would be the specific amount necessary for the initial implementation of the Act? And I don't think the initial amount will reach 7.9 billion. And if it's 7.9 billion, where do we source this huge amount of money?
Madam Speaker, if I may share with the Honorable Lagman a study that shows a per capita expenditure on mental health, saying that the cost of prevention, and this is in US dollars because it was an international study done by the World Health Organization. The cost of prevention on mental health is $3 to $4 US per day. Multiply that by 100 million Filipinos, that would be more or less 400 million US dollars or 20 billion pesos. And if 7.9 billion seems like an insurmountable amount to start the program, to get the program started. 20 billion would be next to impossible. But we want to be realistic and just target the 30 million or so poorest of the poor in the country. And that is how we arrived at the 6 billion range, Madam Speaker. So based on many studies and based on the many programs that are already in place around the world, I feel we are quoting a realistic and reachable amount, considering that the DOH is given full support and is set on seeing this comprehensive mental health program take off. And we were also given assurance by the Appropriations Committee that they will give full support to see this happen.
Okay. Now, I just would like to have a realistic as well as specific appropriation for the initial implementation of the Act. If this bill becomes a law this year, the reference to the current year's appropriation would be the General Appropriations Act for 2017. And I am afraid at the time this bill becomes a law, the appropriation would have been already depleted in the Department of Health. And if this bill becomes a law in 2018, then the appropriations referred to in Section 28 would be the General Appropriations Act for 2018 with respect to the appropriation for the Department of Health. In either case, the amount of 6 to 7 billion pesos as a start-up fund for the implementation of this act cannot be sourced from the current year's appropriation. So where do we get the appropriation? Because the fund should be appropriated in the bill.
Madam Speaker, it would take a lot to be able to see the Comprehensive Mental Health Act in its fruition in full. I think the capacitating efforts on the barangay level will be given priority. It is the easiest to implement. As we mentioned yesterday, we will be dealing with barangay health workers that are already working in their particular communities. It will not take much for them to be trained. It will take a minimal cost for them to be able to act as first responders to those who need attention in the field of mental health. This will start the ball rolling and get the mental health program on its way, and this is something that we hope to be able to realize on the first year. However, building community-based facilities will probably take longer, and I imagine that we will not be able to build the community centers in all of the 1,489 municipalities, nor should we expect to be able to do that. And given that, I think with the given budget, in 2018, we should be able to get started with the provisions of this program and hope to be able to complete the ideal of getting a community health center in every municipality in the years following. But again, let me stress that the DOH is very confident and very reassuring in doing what it needs to do and finding the appropriation of around 7 billion pesos to be able to fund the Comprehensive Mental Health Act. Not fully in the first year, but I guess spread out in the next 2 to 3 years. We just really need to get it started. If 2018, the budget for mental health was 3 billion, now there's an additional 3 to 4 billion as the initial budget, then we can be optimistic about what we can do to get this program started.
Well, that's why my question is, how much is the estimated amount necessary for the initial year implementation of a mental health act? Because definitely, we cannot source that only from the current year's appropriation, whether 2017 or 2018, because there will be a great shortfall. But before we look for sourcing the funds, we should first determine how much is needed for the initial implementation of this act in the first year, and this could be 2018. Magkano ba talaga?
Madam Speaker, I'll go back to the 7.9 billion that we mentioned. That is for the full implementation of the Comprehensive Mental Health Program, if it were fully implemented in the first year. But I think the objective here is to really just get this started. We are willing to work with a lesser budget just to be able to get the program started and to be able to capacitate the barangay health workers and build as many municipal community-based health facilities that can be accommodated within the year. And to be realistic, we don't look to be able to accomplish everything in 1 year. So again, we will go back to the 7.9 billion ideal, but to be realistic, we probably will not need even half of that because it takes a whole lot to be able to build community-based centers in all 1,489 municipalities. Although this is what is mandated and provided in the law, there is no time limit set as to when they need to be built. So the priority here and the intention is to just get the program started and to let the Filipino people realize that we care about their mental well-being.
Well, thank you, distinguished sponsor. But that does not answer my question. Because the 7.9 billion is a multi-year appropriation. What I'm asking for is how much is needed for, say, 2018, the start-up of the implementation of the Mental Health Act. Should it be in the vicinity of 2 billion?
I think, Madam Speaker, looking at the provisions of the Act, if we work with 2 billion pesos, and again, prioritize the capacity building within the barangay and community barangay health workers, making available their services, which is really outpatient-based. They can do their jobs without having to work in a clinic or a community-based facility. That will already make the mental health community happy, seeing that some innovations or some groundbreaking programs are already in place. This won't cost too much, like we said, because the barangay health workers are already where they are. Added to that, maybe we can prioritize the bigger communities or the bigger cities and provide them the health facilities first and work, or perhaps go in reverse, go to the farthest flung areas of the country, those who cannot have access to the bigger hospitals and the wards that are already existing. Work with them, prioritize them, and give them their community-based facilities. And just see how far we can go within a year. Maybe 2 billion will be more than sufficient for that, and that is something that is already provided for in the OH's allocation for mental health for this year and next year.
I doubt very much if the present and proposed appropriation of the Department of Health with respect to mental health program would reach 3 billion. I cannot see where that amount is embedded in the appropriations of the Department of Health for this year and for next year. What I have here are the following figures. National Mental Health Program confined to MOOE for 2017, it's 286,016,000. For 2018, it is even a lesser amount. It's 106,730,000. For the development of psychiatric facilities among selected DOH hospitals on the enhanced projects of the DOH, the amount for 2017 is 339,963,000. And for 2018, it is even a reduced amount of 228,060,000. 328,060,000 for capital outlay. Adding these two figures for 2018, because 2017, the amounts could have been depleted already, the total amount for the mental health program under the Department of Health is only 434,790,000. I do not see where the 3 billion is embedded.
Madam Speaker.
I got this figure incidentally from the Committee on Appropriations.
Madam Speaker, for the record, I'm quoting budget estimates coming directly from the Department of Health. And just to note that in 2019, they estimate a total expenditure of 3.4 billion for mental health. This not yet including the provisions of the Comprehensive Mental Health Act. I guess...
Madam Speaker, this response, those are estimates for 2019. We are talking about the current appropriation and the proposed appropriation for the Department of Health with respect to mental health program for 2018. And the figure is only 434,790,000. Unless the Committee on Appropriation was not accurate in the figures given to me. What I am pointing out is this, Madam Speaker, because I am fully supportive of this measure. If the amount necessary for the startup is 2 billion, or even make it a figure of 2.5 billion, then let us place in the appropriation language that amount and where to source the same. For example, we can start with the 434,390,000 and get about 2% of the train collection of revenues, which would amount to about 2 billion in 2018, to fund the startup of this program. So we will have to be very specific, because appropriation should be specific. We cannot rely on estimates. So at the proper time, distinguished sponsor, I will provide for the appropriate appropriation language. And possibly the appropriation language would read this way: the amount of 106,730,000 for MOOE and the amount of 328,060,000 for the development of psychiatric facilities among selected DOH hospitals under the Health Facilities Enhancement Program, HFEP, for capital outlay in the appropriations of the Department of Health for 2018 shall be sub-allotted to the Philippine Mental Health Council for its administration and distribution and disbursement. All balances for mental health in the 2017 General Appropriations Act, Republic Act 10924, shall accrue to the PMHC. Likewise, 2% of the total revenue collections in 2018 under the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion, TRAIN, shall form part of the first-year implementation of this Act for administration and distribution and administration and disbursement by the PMHC. Thereafter, such amounts as may be necessary for the continued implementation of this Act shall be included in the annual General Appropriations Acts. Under PMHC, which annual appropriations shall be no less than the initial amount appropriated for the first-year implementation of this Act, as well as of the previous year's annual appropriations. And subject to style, I will be going to propose this during the period of amendment, so that we will have a specific figure and we will be able to really start up effectively the implementation of the Mental Health Act.
Madam Speaker, this representation fully appreciates the proposal of the Honorable Lagman, and we will consider it in full when the period of amendments comes. And if I may just add, I also fully appreciate the efforts of the Honorable Lagman, because I understand that we are really both just pushing to see that everything that is provided in the House Bill 6452 sees the light of day, and I think this is what is moving both of us, myself and the Honorable Lagman, to perfect this piece of legislation that is long overdue.
Madam Speaker, distinguished sponsor, thank you for appreciating the efforts of this representation. My next question on the appropriation. There are proposals to place the appropriations under the Philippine National Mental Health Council to ensure its autonomy and independence and remove it from the politics and bureaucratic processes of the Department of Health. Does the distinguished sponsor agree to this proposal?
As was brought up yesterday, the Mental Health Council and the makeup of the council, as we discussed yesterday, will need the participation of the entire mental health community, including the non-government sector, and I fully agree with the Honorable Lagman on that.
In other words, the proposal is, instead of placing the appropriations for mental health under the auspices of the Department of Health, it should be placed under the Philippine National Mental Health Council to assure its autonomy and independence.
Yes, we agree, Madam Speaker.
Now, my next group of questions, Madam Speaker. I really regret I have to consume more time because I really would like to, there is no perfect bill, but to approximate perfection for this measure. Is there any specific provision in the bill authorizing the free dispensation of mental health care, services, and medicines to indigent patients, considering that poverty has a dominant impact on people's mental health and well-being? I am asking for a definite categorical provision, not merely some general statement or attribution.
Madam Speaker, in House Bill 6452, we devoted an entire section to enumerating the rights of persons with mental illness, and before that, stating that every person shall have the right to the best available mental health care, which shall be part of a health and social care and protection system. And we take cognizance of the fact that in a third world country, it's imperative that we give free, we give treatment, mental health treatment for free to those who are in need. This is included in the universal healthcare program that is almost there, authored by our chairman, Helen Tan, and the mental health medicines are included included in that. And when it comes to the services in community-based facilities, as well as those that are dispensed by barangay health workers, these are meant to be free of charge for those who are not able to pay. Of course, private hospitals are probably best for those who are capable of accessing treatment in the private hospitals where it is not necessarily free. But again, this bill prioritizes the needs of the indigent Filipinos, which numbers more than 30 million of our population.
Well, we understand that in the general statements or provisions of the bill, it can be inferred that there will be free dispensation of mental health care services and medicines to indigent patients. But I think it will not harm the measure. It will even promote its objectives if we have a specific and categorical provision on the free dispensation of medical care, services, and medicines, similar to the provision of the reproductive health law. At the proper time, distinguished sponsor, I would recommend the inclusion of a specific provision on indigent patients.
It's well noted, Madam Speaker.
Now, let me go to another question with respect to service user. The bill refers to service user in many of its provisions, but service user is not defined under the definition of terms, unlike patient. Is there any difference between service user and patient, or they are identical?
Madam Speaker, service user refers to a patient or a client or a mental health survivor or a person in crisis. Any of these fall under the term service user. In fact, the term service user has come to be the most current and politically correct term used within the mental health services. It is because it is neutral and it simply describes a relationship with the service. This keeping in mind that Comprehensive Mental Health Act or comprehensive mental health treatment is exactly that. It is comprehensive and it is in a spectrum. It treats people who are suffering mental health disorders, also people who might be just under temporary stress and are not able to deal with the everyday challenges of life. And it could also deal with people who are somewhere in between. So not everybody with a mental health issue is a mental health patient or is somebody with a mental health disorder, and thus the use of the term service user. But if it will please the Honorable Lagman, we can include the definition of the term service user, just because it seems like it is not, while it is now widely used within the mental health community or within the mental health services, it is not apparently as well known to the general public. So we are amenable to specifying the definition of the term service user in the bill.
Thank you, distinguished sponsor. Under Section 4R, a patient is referred to a person receiving or utilizing mental health care and treatment from a mental health care facility or clinic. This would encompass already a service user, is it not?
Let me read again. This is Section R. Patient refers to a person receiving or utilizing mental health care and treatment from a mental health care facility or clinic. Yes, it does.
This would encompass
It would,
a service user, because service user is not known to so many. It's a new nomenclature.
it would,
But a patient is also politically and medically correct. But if there is a distinction between a patient and service user, because I think there was only one provision where patient was included, and there were so many provisions using service user, then I would be amenable to using service user, provided there is a categorical definition of term.
I think that would be best. Again, just to clarify, all patients are service users, but not all service users are patients. I guess that would be the best way to describe it. We, maybe just to further explain the usefulness of the term service user.
Okay.
It is actually good news that the psychologists, as much as the psychiatrists, have been a part of the crafting of this bill. Psychologists, as they are not medical doctors, would prefer, if I can represent them, would prefer to call their patients, if you will, their clients. And then there are others who have mental health disorders who don't like to think of themselves as ill or as patients. So to satisfy everybody who is concerned in this bill, it being a rights-based bill, and we have to respect everybody's rights, both patient or service user and service provider, we felt that using the terms service user and service provider, which, while it may not be known to the general public, is already widely used in the mental health circle or world. And I think the best compromise here would just to be to define service user as you initially suggested, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, distinguished sponsor. Now, let me go to the National Center for Mental Health. formerly the National Mental Hospital. The distinguished sponsor must be aware that the National Mental Hospital has been renamed as the National Center for Mental Health. Is that correct?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
What will be the role of the National Center for Mental Health once this bill is enacted into law?
Madam Speaker, the National Center for Mental Health, although there have been plans even before or since 1968 for its sale, it is still in existence, and as the director would say, in his words, it is still alive and kicking, and it is very much used. In fact, its bed capacity is always to its limit. And besides the hospital, the hospital services that it provides, the National Mental Health or the National Mental Health Center is also the only existing forensic psychiatric facility there is in the country. And this is important, as we know many of the crimes today have to do with issues that come into play when we talk about mental health. And a lot of crimes or criminals often have to be examined and have to be investigated with a mental health angle in mind, and that is the usefulness of the forensic psychiatric unit that is found in the Mental Health Center. Okay. Aside from that, Madam Speaker, we also mentioned yesterday that there's an effort to increase the number of practitioners in the mental health field, and the Mental Health Center is also an educational institution that provides further study for psychiatrists who want to enter in that field.
May I know, distinguished sponsor, if there is any provision in the bill on the National Center for Mental Health?
Not specifically, Madam Speaker.
Why is that so? Why is there no specific provision of the National Center for Mental Health and its role once this bill is enacted into law?
I think the National Mental Health Center, as well as the Mariveles Center in Bataan and the many other psychiatric wards that are already in existence, are all considered together as hospitals existing that provide mental health services. And Section 12 of the bill, which reads, duties and responsibilities of all mental health facilities and mental health service providers, and it enumerates about almost 10 provisions and 10 items, will cover the National Mental Health Center, as well as the Mariveles Mental Health Hospital, and the other psychiatric facilities that are found in government hospitals, the wards, etc. And also maybe perhaps because there is still the desire for the mental health center to be moved to a new location. I understand there was an attempt to move it to Trece Martires in Cavite, but because of the floods or something that was unexpected, it didn't push through, and now they're looking at another area in Cavite as well.
But pending that transfer, the mental health hospital, now known as the National Center for Mental Health, should be accorded some in this bill, and there is no such provision. We should not be relying on inferences, but there should be specific provisions. Most probably, many are not aware that the mental health hospital, the premier mental hospital in the Philippines, now known as the National Center for Mental Health, has an appropriation. In the current year, the National Center for Mental Health has an appropriation of 964,244,000 and a proposed budget for 2018 in the increased amount of 1,022,798,000. With this ample appropriation, I think the National Center for Mental Health should at least merit a provision, a specific provision in the bill. And at the proper time, distinguished sponsor, I will make a proposal to give recognition to the premier mental health hospital in the Philippines, now known as the National Center for Mental Health.
Yes, Madam Speaker, while we appreciate what the Honorable Lagman has just said, we also want to stress once again that really the objective or the essence of the comprehensive mental health program is to decentralize everything, or to just bring them to the communities where mental health cases are best served. Like we said, you cannot isolate a sufferer of a mental health disorder and treat him and only him or her, as it may be. It is imperative that the community, the families, the communities are also included in the treatment, and it also works best when the service user is left to thrive in a community or in an environment that they are already used to. Mental health centers like the National Mental Health Hospital are traditional institutions that I guess we are trying to, or that we recognize were the only ones that were in existence before, but now much emphasis is being given on the importance of community-based service. And while we recognize the importance of the National Mental Health Center and the other uses that we already mentioned it has, again, we don't want to take away from the importance and the heart of the Comprehensive Mental Health Act, which is to stress the importance of community-based treatment.
Well, we appreciate that trajectory with respect to the institutionalization of medical care and services from the confines of a hospital to the community-based healthcare, mental health care facilities. But meanwhile, that there is this appropriation for the for the National Center for Mental Health, then we should duly acknowledge this institution and most probably think about its appropriation and how it can be gradually be transferred to the funding for community-based mental health facilities.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Now, let me go to the role of the Commission on Human Rights. There are a number of provisions in the bill concerning the role of the Commission on Human Rights. more particularly Section 6 of Chapter 2 on the rights of persons with mental illness and who is being treated for mental illness. Section 6 and U mentions the Commission on Human Rights in its role. Then under Chapter 3, duties and responsibilities of government agencies and all mental health service providers, under Section 11 thereof, there is an enumeration of the duties and responsibilities of the Commission on Human Rights. Under Section 6U, second paragraph of Chapter 2, the Commission on Human Rights and the Department of Justice have concurrent jurisdiction to, and I quote, investigate, conduct inspections, and most probably it is not recommend. This is a typical error. It should be recommend appropriate administrative, civil, and penal sanctions to ensure full compliance with domestic and international standards governing the legal basis for treatment and detention, quality of medical care, and living standards. But my question is, in order to pinpoint responsibility and accountability, does the distinguished sponsor agree that only one of these agencies should have jurisdiction? It must be either the Department of Justice or the Commission on Human Rights. I would suggest strongly that it should be the Department of Justice, which has a more expansive jurisdiction and is fully funded.
Madam Speaker, as it has been mentioned several times, the bill is a rights-based bill, and therefore there are many provisions that are of interest to the Commission on Human Rights. In fact, they have been present and very vocal throughout the process of crafting this bill. They have been present in all the TWGs, and their points are well made. There are so many ways to infringe on the human rights of service users without going into criminal liabilities. And I think that is just mainly for that reason, the Commission on Human Rights will want to have a stake, and we want to be given the power to investigate and to make sure that all service users, in fact, all Filipinos who have the right to mental health service and treatment should be given what they are due. It will be difficult to take them out of the picture because, like we said, while jails and crime scenes and trials, court trials, these are places that you might want to consider as catch basins for mental health issues. When you have parents fighting for their children, when you have couples who cannot get along, when you have crimes that are committed when somebody is under the influence or is under duress or is not able to cope well with stress or is suffering an episode of his mental disorder. All of these are commingled, always happen together. Like we said, courts and crime scenes are places where we find mental health issues all the time. And that being the case, really, you cannot separate the two. And we believe that the Commission on Human Rights does play a vital role in ensuring that every Filipino is given their rights-based mental health or mental wellness treatment if needed.
Well, we are not in any way trying to remove any important role of the Commission on Human Rights. We are just concerned about a concurrent jurisdiction wherein you cannot pinpoint responsibility and accountability between two agencies like the Commission on Human Rights and the Department of Justice. But most probably, there could be some middle ground in order to remove this concurrent jurisdiction. And with respect to investigations relating to violations of human rights committed by the government or the state or agents of the state, then most probably the investigation can be properly conducted by the Commission on Human Rights. But with respect to other violations not perpetrated by the state or agents of the state, then the Department of Justice can take jurisdiction.
I would like to add, Madam Speaker, that while the Commission on Human Rights also needs to comply with the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, as persons suffering mental disorders or mental issues are considered persons with disability, then that gives them jurisdiction, and it also underscores the importance of their ability to investigate and to be on top of these cases and to be mentioned in this measure. The DOJ also is mentioned here in light of the fact that drug abuse, gambling abuse for that matter, all kinds of abuses, but especially in these times when the war on drugs is very much observed and is still being waged. Drug abuse is considered a mental health condition, substance abuse to be exact. And as we know, many of these cases fall in the hands of the Dangerous Drugs Board. In fact, we have a provision in the bill that says that anybody who voluntarily submits themselves to the Dangerous Drugs Board should be given a mental health test to see if they have a mental health disorder and will be treated accordingly and will be given their rights according to as provided in this bill. And again, the need to acknowledge the DOJ as one of the agencies that have the right to complaints about abuses in mental health.
Well, we have no problem with the jurisdiction of the Department of Justice within its sphere of authority and the jurisdiction of the Commission on Human Rights within its mandated authority. Section 18, paragraph 1 of the Constitution provides that the Commission on Human Rights shall investigate on its own or on complaint of any party all forms of human rights violations involving civil and political rights. Involving civil and political rights. This means to say that involving the rights of a person safeguarded under the Constitution. And the Constitution guarantees political and civil rights against violations of the state or agents of the state. So much so that we would like to make a delimitation of the jurisdiction of the Commission on Human Rights consistent with its mandate under the Constitution. And at the proper time, we are going to provide for that delineation and propose the consequential amendments.
Madam Speaker, before we move on, I would just like to add that citing the position of the Commission on Human Rights themselves as we were working on crafting this bill. In the statement that they submitted, they said, may I quote, "With respect to the grant of responsibility to the Commission to inspect all places where psychiatric service users are held for involuntary treatment or otherwise, we respectfully submit that such does not fall upon the Commission alone. The Commission will be saddled with inspection of all such places without distinction, etc." I think it is important to note that even the Commission on Human Rights acknowledges the fact that they cannot do it alone, and that is the position that they took, and we took that into consideration when we crafted the bill.
Yes, Your Honor. We are aware of that position paper submitted by the Commission on Human Rights, but its position as submitted should always be under guidance of the constitutional mandate given to this agency, which I have already stated. Now, let me go to my last query. Will the distinguished sponsor consider including drugs specific to the treatment of mental illness in the Philippine National Drug Formulary?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Well, that would terminate my interpellation, and I would be ready to submit to the sponsoring committee and to the distinguished sponsor my proposed amendments by first hour in the morning on Monday. And I will also await the formulation of the committee amendments being considered by the committee, more particularly on the composition of the council as we have discussed yesterday. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Thank you, distinguished sponsor, for the opportunity of allowing this representation to ask some questions towards perfecting this measure.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the lady from the 3rd District of Nueva Ecija, Representative Rosana Ria Vergara.
Honorable Rosana Ria Vergara is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just have 2 questions to the distinguished sponsor. The first is, on page 5 of the bill, specifically under the definition of mental illness, there's no mention of addiction, although it is alluded to when they say that the dysfunction in the individual. But when you read the definition of mental illness in its totality, comprehensive as it is, the word addiction is not present anywhere. Is the distinguished sponsor willing to include the word addiction under the definition of mental illness?
Madam Speaker, yesterday during the interpellation of the Honorable Lagman, it was decided that we would mention in the amendments certain conditions that are common to all, just to give light to the scope of this particular bill. And by all means, addiction, substance addiction, gambling addiction, we will make sure that all of these conditions will be included in the bill, that it will be named as is, so that there will be no question as to whether or not drug addiction is within the scope of comprehensive mental wellness.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, and not just drug addiction, but I'd also like it to specify online addiction,
Internet addiction,
sex addiction,
sexual
and
addiction,
all
shopping
sorts.
addiction, and
Yes.
all sorts of addiction. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And the next question, Madam Speaker, refers to paragraph 2 of section 23. In section 23, it states, this is on page 15, it states that those covered by section 62 of the Dangerous Drug Act may be entitled to the rights under this bill. Section 62 of the Dangerous Drug Act speaks of persons charged with an offense where the imposable penalty is less than 6 years and 1 day. Given this, why does this provision make a distinction between those charged with an an offense punishable for less than 6 years and 1 day versus those for more than 6 years? Do we not have a responsibility to help all drug dependents who may be mentally ill regardless of the offense charged? May we seek a clarification on this point, Madam Speaker?
We have the responsibility to uphold the rights of all Filipinos, drug addicts or any other kind of addict. However, with the Dangerous Drugs Board Act already in place, the way we phrased it in the bill, if you voluntarily or in any other way become subjected to the Dangerous Drugs Act or the board, if you face them, then and you are, it is mandated that you be examined for possible mental illness, and if found to be suffering this mental illness, then it will be the incumbent. Then this person will be covered by everything that is stated in the bill, in the Comprehensive Mental Health Act. So,
Madam Speaker, that means even if the offense is more than 6 years and 1 day, then that individual will be protected under this Mental Health Act. Is that correct?
I guess has to do with the kind of crime they commit and what possible findings there might be when this person is subjected to a mental illness. I guess it's going to be a case-to-case basis. It is beyond this bill to determine if somebody with a mental health condition and who commits a crime that merits 6 years or more will have to stay in jail or will be allowed out. That is something that the Dangerous Drugs Board, I guess, will have to decide on. What we need to make sure of is that these individuals are given the testing, first of all, the assessment to determine whether or not they need treatment, and if it's so determined that they get the proper treatment. Now, whether or not this is done within the confines of a jail is something that we don't specify, because what this bill is concerned about is the treatment of the mental health of a person.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So would the distinguished sponsor be willing for a submission to amend or to further clarify this concern so that even those who have offenses beyond 6 years that are mentally ill will be protected by this House bill?
In as much as treatment is concerned, they will be given the treatment that they need as prescribed by the assessment that they get. And as far as that is concerned, that they are covered by this bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, distinguished sponsor.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no other member who wishes to interpolate this sponsor, I move that we terminate the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objections? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, we open the period of amendments. I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, may I move to recognize Representative Edsa Lagman?
I have several important individual amendments, many of which had been acknowledged by the distinguished sponsor as truly important. But I would need some time to formulate the amendments. That's why earlier I manifested that I would submit to the sponsoring committee my proposed amendments first hour Monday morning. But if the committee has committee amendments, then the committee can proceed. But I will submit my individual amendments by Monday.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, the manifestations of the Honorable Lagman regarding his amendments are very well taken, Madam Speaker.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The manifestation is duly noted.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of committee amendments. So moved, Madam Speaker.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, to propound the committee amendments, I move that we recognize the Honorable Chairperson of the Committee on Health, the Honorable Helen Tan. So moved, Madam Speaker.
Chairman Helen Tan is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The committee would like to introduce the following amendments to House Bill 6452. On page 10, section 10, G, line 29, change the words National Commission on Mental Health to Philippine Council for Mental Health. And on page 12, change the title of Chapter 4 from Institutionalization of Philippine Mental Health Council to Institutionalization of Philippine Council for Mental Health. On page 12, section 14, mandate, line 39 to 43, change the whole paragraph to read as follows. The Philippine Council for Mental Health, herein referred to as the Council, is hereby established as an attached agency under the Department of Health to provide for a coherent, rational, and unified response to mental health problems, concerns, and efforts through the formulation and implementation of national mental health care delivery services. On page 13, lines 1 to 4, delete whole paragraph and in lieu thereof, insert a new section 15 to read as follows. Section 15, duties and functions. The Council shall exercise the following duties. A, review and formulate policies and guidelines on mental health issues and concerns. B, develop a comprehensive and integrated national plan and program on mental health. C, conduct regular monitoring and evaluation in support of policy formulation and planning on mental health. D, promote and facilitate collaboration among sectors and disciplines for the development and implementation of mental health-related programs within these sectors. C, provide overall technical supervision and ensure compliance with policies, programs, and projects within the comprehensive framework of the National Mental Health Care Delivery System and other activities related to the implementation of this Act, through the review of mental health services and adoption of legal and other remedies provided by law. Letter F, plan and implement the necessary and urgent capacity building, reorientation, and training programs for all mental health professionals, mental health workers, and all professionals as articulated in this Act. Letter G, review all existing laws related to mental health and recommend legislation which will sustain and strengthen programs, services, and other mental health initiatives. Letter H, conduct or facilitate the implementation of studies and researches on mental health with special emphasis on studies that would serve as basis for developing appropriate and culturally relevant mental health services in the community. Letter I, create interagency committees, project task forces, and other groups necessary to implement the policy and program framework of this Act. And letter J, collaborate with various agencies. And letter K, perform other duties and functions necessary to carry out the purposes of this Act. On page 13, after the new section 15, insert a new section 16 to read as follows. Section 16, composition. The Council shall be composed of the following. Number 1, Secretary of Health as ex officio chairman. Number 2, Executive Director as Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer. 3, 2 representatives from government sectors. 4, 2 representatives from private health sector or consumer groups. 5, 1 representative from academe or research. 6, 2 representatives from professional organizations. And number 7, 2 representatives from allied non-government organizations involved in mental health issues as members. The members of the council shall serve for 3 years, and in case a vacancy occurs in the council, any person chosen to fill the vacancy shall serve only for the unexpired term of the member whom he or she succeeds. Within 30 days from the date of this act, the President of the Philippines shall appoint the members of the council. That's all, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we accept the amendments as proposed by the sponsor.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The amendments are hereby approved.
Madam Speaker, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill number 6452.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, we move for 1 minute suspension.
The session is suspended.
Madam Speaker, I move to resume session.
Session is resumed. Asan ba yung nominal? Sige, sige. Nandiyan yan eh.
Madam Speaker, I move for the consideration on third reading of House Bill number 5799. For this purpose, may I request that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill and thereafter to call the roll for nominal voting.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the House Bill 5799.
House Bill number 5799, an act reverting fish ponds which have been unutilized or abandoned for a period of 3 years to forest lands, amending for the purpose Section 43 of Presidential Decree number 705, otherwise known as the Revised Forestry Reform Code of the Philippines. Roll call of members, consideration of House Bill number 5799. Abad, Abaya, Abayon, Abellanosa, Abu, Abueg, Acharon, Acop, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adjong, Advincula, Agaraw, Agabaw, Aglipay Villar, Albano, Alcala, Alejano, Almario, Almonte, Alonte, Alvarez France, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amatong, Andaya, Angara Castillo, Antonino, Antonio, Aquino Magsaysay, Aragones, Arbizon, Arcillas, Arenas, Atienza, Aumentado, Bagaw, Bagaching, Bagilat, Banal, Barbers, Barsaga, Batawil, Batucabe, Bautista Bandigan, Belaro, Belmonte Feliciano, Belmonte Jose Christopher, Belmonte Ricardo, Benitez, Bernos, Bertiz, Biason, Billones, Biron, Bulilia, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo Anthony, Bravo Marabida, Brosas, Bulot Bigtang, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto Rubiano, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Cari, Casilaw, Castelo, Castro-Franz, Castro-Fredinil, Catamco, Cayetano, Celeste, Serafica, Cirilles, Chavez, Chipeco, Coanco, Culliantes, Cortés, Cortuna, Cosalan, Crisólogo, Cuba, Cuaresma, Cueva, Dalipe, Datol, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, De Vera, Defensor, Del Mar, De Rosario, De Los Montalia, De Maporo Dula, De Maporo Khalid, Duavit, Durano, Di, Ilago, Enverga, Erice, Erigel, Ermita Buhain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Eusebio, Ivardone, Fariñas, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Ferriol, Floirendo, Flores, Fortun, Fortuno, Fuentebella, Garbin, Garcia Gwendolyn, Garcia Jose, Garcia Albano, Garin Richard, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Heron, Guana Cristina, Go Mark, Gomez, Gonzaga, Gonzales Alexandria, Gonzales Aurelio Dong, Gonzales Fernando, Guruseta, Gullias, Hernandez, Herrerdi, Hofer, Holosos, Javier, Konghun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lagman, Lanete, Laugan, Lasatin, Liachon, Lim Kaichong, Lobrigat, Lopez Benhur, Lopez Carlo, Lopez Manuel, Loyola, Macapagal-Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Manalo, Mangawang, Mangudodato Suarto, Mangudodato Sajid, Marcoleta, Marcos, Mariño, Marquez, Martinez, Matugas, Miliana, Mending, Mendoza, Mercado, Mirasol, Montoro, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Carlo, Nolasco, Núñez Maliñaon, Waminal, Ocampo, Olivares, Ong Edwin, Ong Henry, Ortega Pablo, Ortega Vini, Pacquiao, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panganiban, Panotes, Papandayan, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Primicia Sagabas, Kimbo, Radasa, Ramirez Sato, Ramos, Relampagos, Revilla, Rowapuno, Robes, Rocomora, Rodriguez Isidro, Rodriguez Maximo, Roman, Romero, Romualdez, Romualdo, Roque Hari, Roque Rogelio, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sahali, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Salon, Sambar, Sandoval, Santos Recto, Sarmiento Cesar, Sarmiento Edgar, Sevillano, Sema, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Swansing Estrelita, Smansing Horacio, Suarez, si Alvarado, Tan Bunting, Tan Angelina, Tan Milagrosa, Tan Shirley, Tejada, Teves, Chanco, Ting, Tino, Tolentino, Treñas, Tugna, Tupas, Turabi Nataman, Ti, Umali, Unabia, Ungab, Unico, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Uy Bereta, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Vilarde, Velasco, Velasco Catera, Veloso, Vergara, Villafuerte, Villanueva, Villarasa Suarez, Villarica, Villarin, Violago, Yap Arthur, Yap Melesio, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Mar Carmen, Zamora Ronaldo, Sarate, Subiri.
With 213 members voting in the affirmative, 0 negative against, and 0 abstentions, the Chair declares House Bill 5799 as having been approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the consideration on third reading of House Bill number 6391. For this purpose, may I request that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill and thereafter to call the roll for nominal voting.
The Secretary General is directed to read House Bill 6391 for nominal voting.
House Bill number 6391, an act converting the road stretching from Barangay Anduyan, Municipality of Tubao, Province of La Union to Barangay San Pascual, Municipality of Tuba, Province of Benguet into a national road appropriating funds therefore. Roll call of members, consideration House Bill number 6391, Abad, Abaya, Abayon, Abilianosa, Abu, Abueg, Acharon, Acop, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adjong, Advincula, Agrao, Agabao, Aglipay Villar, Albano, Alcala, Alejano, Almario, Almonte, Alonte, Alvarez Franz, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amatong, Andaya, Angara Castillo, Antonino, Antonio, Aquino Magsaysay, Aragones, Arbison, Arcillas, Arenas, Atienza, Aumentado, Bagaw, Bagaching, Bagilat, Banal, Barbers, Barsaga, Batawil, Batucabe, Bautista Bandigan, Bilaro, Belmonte Feliciano, Belmonte Jose Christopher, Belmonte Ricardo, Benitez, Bernos, Bertiz, Biason, Billones, Biron, Bulilia, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo Anthony, Bravo Mervida, Brosas, Bulot Bictang, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto Rubiano, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Cari, Casilaw, Castelo, Caso Franz, Caso Fredenil, Catambo, Cayetano, Celeste, Seravica, Cirilles, Chavez, Chipeco, Coanco, Colliantes, Cortés, Cortuna, Cosalan, Crisólogo, Cuba, Cuaresma, Cueva, Dalipe, Datol, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, De Vera, Defensor, Del Mar, Del Rosario, De Los Montalia, Di Maporo Dula, Di Maporo Khalid, Duabit, Durano, Di, Elago, Enverga, Erice, Eriguel, Ermita Buain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Eusebio, Ivardone, Fariñas, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Ferriol, Floirendo, Flores, Fortun, Fortuno, Fentebella, Garbin, Garcia Gwendolyn, Garcia Jose, Garcia Albano, Garin Richard, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Heron, Guana Cristina, Go Mark, Gomez, Gonzaga, Gonzales Alexandria, Gonzales Aurelio Dong, Gonzales Fernando, Gurizeta, Gullias, Hernandez, Herrera D, Hofer, Holosos, Javier, Konghun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lagman, Lanete, Laugan, Lasatin, Liachon, Lee, Limkaychong, Lobdigat, Lopez Benur, Lopez Carlo, Lopez Manuel, Loyola, Macapagalaroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Manalo, Mangawang, Mangudadato Suarto, Mangudadato Sajid, Marcoleta, Marcos, Mariño, Marquez, Martinez, Matugas, Miliana, Mending, Mendoza, Mercado, Miresol, Montoro, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Carlo, Nolasco, Nunez Malignaon, Waminal, Ocampo, Olivares, Ong Edwin, Ong Henry, Ortega Pablo, Ortega Vini, Pacquiao, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panganiban, Panotes, Papandayan, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Primicia Sagabas, Kimbo, Radasa, Ramirez Sato, Ramos, Relampagos, Revilla, Rawapuno, Robes, Rocamora, Rodriguez Isidro, Rodriguez Maximo, Roman, Romero, Romualdez, Romualdo, Roque Hari, Roque Rogelio, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sahali, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Salon, Sambar, Sandoval, Santos Recto, Sarmiento Cesar, Sarmiento Edgar, Sevillano, Sema, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Swansing Estelita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez, Si Alvarado, Tambunting, Tan Angelina, Tan Milagrosa, Tan Sherney, Tejada, Teves, Chanco, Ting, Tiño, Tolentino, Treñas, Tugna, Tupas, Torabe Nataman, Ti, Umali, Unabia, Ungab, Unico, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Uy Bareta, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velarde, Velasco, Velasco Catera, Veloso, Vergara, Villapuerte, Villanueva, Villarasa Suarez, Villarica, Villarin, Villago, Yap Arthur, Yap Melesio, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Mar Carmen, Zamora Ronaldo, Sarate, Subiri.
With 213 members voting in the affirmative, 0 against, and 0 abstentions, the chair declares House Bill 6391 as having been approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the consideration on third reading of House Bill number 2097. For this purpose, may I request that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill and thereafter to call the roll for nominal voting.
The Secretary General is directed to read House Bill 2097.
House Bill number 2097, an act declaring December 2 of every year special non-working holiday in Pasay City to be known as the Foundation Day of Pasay City. Roll call of members. Consideration House Bill number 2097. Abad, Abaya, Abayon, Abellanosa, Abu, Abueg, Acharon, Acop, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adjong, Advincula, Agrao, Agabao, Aglipay Villar, Albano, Alcala, Alejano, Almario, Almonte, Alonte, Alvarez France, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amatong, Andaya, Angara Castillo, Antonino, Antonio, Aquino Magsaysay, Aragones, Arbison, Arcillas, Arenas, Atienza, Aumentado, Bagao, Bagaching, Bagilat, Banal, Barbers, Barsaga, Batawil, Batucabe, Bautista Bandigan, Belaro, Belmonte Feliciano, Belmonte Jose Christopher, Belmonte Ricardo, Benitez, Bernos, Bertiz, Biason, Billones, Biron, Bulilla, Bondoc, Bordado, Bravo Anthony, Bravo Maravida, Brosas, Bulutbectang, Cagas, Calderon, Calix Rubiano, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Cari, Casilaw, Castelo, Casa Franz, Casa Fredinil, Catamco, Cayetano, Celeste, Serafica, Cerilles, Chavez, Chipeco, Co, Coanco, Collantes, Cortés, Cortuna, Cosalan, Crisólogo, Cuba, Cuaresma, Cueva, Dalipe, Datol, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, De Vera, Defensor, Del Mar, Del Rosario, De Los Montalia, de Maporo Abdullah, de Maporo Khalid, Duabit, Durano, Di, Elago, Enverga, Erice, Eriguel, Ermita Buain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Eusebio, Iverdone, Fariñas, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Ferriol, Floirendo, Flores, Fortuno, Fentebelia, Garbin, Garcia Gwendolyn, Garcia Jose, Garcia Albano, Garin Richard, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Heron, Guana Cristina, Gomark, Gomez, Gonzaga, Gonzales Alexandria, Gonzales Aurelio Dong, Gonzales Fernando, Gorizeta, Gullas, Hernandez, Herrera D, Hofer, Halusos, Javier, Co, Konghun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lagman, Lanete, Laugan, Lasatin, Liachon, Lee, Limkaychong, Lobrigat, Lopez Benhur, Lopez Carlo, Lopez Manuel, Loyola, Macapagal-Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Manalo, Mangawang, Mangudodato Suarto, Mangudodato Sajid, Marcoleta, Marcos, Mariño, Marquez, Martinez, Matugas, Meliana, Mending, Mendoza, Mercado, Mirasol, Montoro, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Carlo, Nolasco, Núñez Maliñaon, Waminal, Ocampo, Olivares, Ong Edwin, Ong Henry, Ortega Pablo, Ortega Vini, Pacquiao, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panganiban, Panotes, Papandayan, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Primicia Sagabas, Kimbo, Radasa, Ramiresato, Ramos, Relampagos, Revilla, Roapuno, Robes, Rocamora, Rodriguez Isidro, Rodriguez Maximo, Roman, Romero, Romualdez, Romualdo, Roquehari, Roque Rogelio, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sahali, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Salon, Sambar, Sandoval, Santos Recto, Sarmiento Cesar, Sarmiento Edgar, Sevillano, Sema, Siao, Silverio, Singson, Swansing Estelita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez, Si Alvarado, Tambunting, Tan Angelina, Tan Milagrosa, Tan Shirley, Tejada, Teves, Chanco, Ting, Tino, Tolentino, Treñas, Tugna, Tupas, Turabinataman, T, Umali, Unabia, Ungab, Unico, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Uy Barreta, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velarde, Velasco, Velasco Catera, Veloso, Vergara, Villapuerte, Villanueva, Villarasa Suarez, Villarica, Villarin, Villago, Yap Arthur, Yap Melesio, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Marcamen, Zamora Ronaldo, Sarate, Subiri.
With 213 members voting in the affirmative, 0 against, and 0 abstentions, the chair declares House Bill 2097 as having been approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the consideration on third reading of House Bill number 3979. For this purpose, may I request that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill and thereafter to call the vote for nominal voting.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill and therefore call the roll for nominal voting.
House Bill number 3979, an act declaring 2 parcels of land of the public domain located in the city of Naga, province of Cebu, as agricultural land open to disposition for agricultural, residential, commercial, industrial, or other productive purposes. Roll call of members. Consideration House Bill number 3979. Abad, Abaya, Abayon, Abellanosa, Abu, Abueg, Acharon, Acop, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adjong, Advincula, Agarao, Agabao, Aglipay Villar, Albano, Alcala, Alejano, Almario, Almonte, Alonte, Alvarez France, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amatong, Andaya, Angara Castillo, Antonino, Antonio, Aquino Magsaysay, Aragones, Arbizon, Arcillas, Arenas, Atienza, Aumentado, Bagao, Bagaching, Bagilat, Banal, Barbers, Barsaga, Batawil, Batucabe, Bautista Bandigan, Bilaro, Belmonte Feliciano, Belmonte Jose Christopher, Belmonte Ricardo, Benitez, Bernos, Bertiz, Biason, Billones, Biron, Bulilla, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo Anthony, Bravo Maravida, Brosas, Bulot Bictang, Cagas, Calderon, Calixtrobiano, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Cari, Casilaw, Castelo, Casafrans, Casafredenil, Catamco, Cayetano, Celeste, Serafica, Cerilles, Chavez, Chepeco, Coanco, Collantes, Cortés, Cortuna, Cosalan, Crisólogo, Cuba, Cuaresma, Cueva, Dalipe, Datol, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, De Vera, Defensor, Del Mar, Del Rosario, De Los Montalia, Limaporo Dula, Limaporo Khalid, Duavit, Durano, Di, Elago, Enverga, Erice, Eriguel, Ermita Buhain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Eusebio, Ibardone, Fariñas, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Ferriol, Floirendo, Flores, Fortun, Fortuno, Fentebelia, Garbin, Garcia Gwendolyn, Garcia Jose, Garcia Albano, Garin Richard, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Heron, Goana Cristina, Go Mark, Gomez, Gonzaga, Gonzales Alexandria, Gonzales Aurelio Dong, Gonzales Fernando, Goreseta, Gullias, Hernandez, Herrera D, Hofer, Halosos, Javier, Konghun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lagman, Lanete, Laugan, Lasatin, Liechon, Lee, Lim Kay Chong, Lobrigat, Lopez Benur, Lopez Carlo, Lopez Manuel, Loyola, Macapagal-Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Manalo, Mangawang, Magdadato Suarto, Magdadato Sajid, Marcoleta, Marcos, Mariño, Marquez, Martinez, Matugas, Miliana, Mending, Mendoza, Mercado, Mirasol, Montoro, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Carlo, Nolasco, Nunez Maliñaon, Waminal, Ocampo, Olivares, Ong Edwin, Ong Henry, Ortega Pablo, Ortega Vini, Pacquiao, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panganiban, Panotes, Papandayan, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Remisia Sagabas, Kimbo, Radasa, Ramirez Sato, Ramos, Relampagos, Revilla, Robapuno, Robes, Rocamora, Rodriguez Isidro, Rodriguez Maximo, Roman, Romero, Romualdez, Romualdo, Roquehari, Roque Rogelio, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sahali, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Salon, Sambar, Sandoval, Santos Recto, Sarmiento Cesar, Sarmiento Edgar, Sevillano, Sema, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Swansing Estrelita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez, Si Alvarado, Tambunting, Tan Angelina, Tan Milagrosa, Tan Shady, Tejada, Teves, Chanco, Ting, Tiño, Tolentino, Treñas, Tugna, Tupas, Turabinataman, Ti, Umali, Unabia, Ungab, Unico, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Uy Beretta, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velarde, Velasco, Velasco Catera, Veloso, Vergara, Villapuerte, Villanueva, Villarasa Suarez, Villarica, Villarin, Yulago, Yap Artur, Yap Melesio, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Mar Carmen, Zamora Ronaldo, Zarate, Subiri.
With 214 members voting in the affirmative, 0 against, and 0 abstentions, the chair declares House Bill 3979 as having been approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the consideration on third reading of House Bill number 6316. For this purpose, may I request that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill and thereafter to call the roll for nominal voting.
The Secretary General will please read the title of the House bill and thereafter call the roll for nominal voting.
House Bill numbers 6316, an act granting Northeastern Broadcasting Services, Inc. a franchise to construct, install, establish, operate, and maintain radio and television broadcasting stations in the Isabela Province and Region 2. Roll call of members. Consideration House Bill number 6316. Abad, Abaya, Abayon, Abellanosa, Abu, Abueg, Acharon, Acop, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adjong, Advincula, Agrao, Agabao, Aglipay Villar, Albano, Alcala, Alejano, Almario, Almonte, Alonte, Alvarez France, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amatong, Andaya, Angara Castillo, Antonino, Antonio, Aquino Magsaysay, Aragones, Arbizon, Arcillas, Arenas, Atienza, Aumentado, Bagao, Bagaching, Bagilat, Banal, Barbers, Barsaga, Batawil, Batocabe, Bautista Bandigan, Belaro, Belmonte Feliciano, Belmonte Jose Christopher, Belmonte Ricardo, Bilites, Bernos, Bertis, Biason, Billones, Biron, Bulilla, Bundok, Bordado, Bravo Anthony, Bravo Maravida, Brosas, Bulot Bigtang, Cagas, Calderon, Calix Rubiano, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Cari, Casilaw, Castelo, Caso Franz, Caso Fredenil, Catamco, Cayetano, Celeste, Ceravica, Cerilles, Chavez, Chipeco, Cubanco, Collantes, Cortés, Cortuna, Cosalan, Crisólogo, Cuba, Cuaresma, Cueva, Dalipe, Datol, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, De Vera, Defensor, Del Mar, Del Rosario, De Losa Montaña, Dimaporo Abdullah, Dimaporo Khalid, Duabit, Durano, D. Elago, Enverga, Erice, Erigel, Ermita Buain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Eusebio, Ibardone, Fariñas, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Ferriol, Floyrendo, Flores, Fortun, Fortuno, Fentebella, Garbin, Garcia Gwendolyn, Garcia Jose, Garcia Albano, Garin Richard, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchelian, Heron, Guana Cristina, Gomart, Gomez, Gonzaga, Gonzales Alexandria, Gonzales Arroyo Dong, Gonzales Fernando, Guruseta, Gullias, Hernandez, Herardi, Hofer, Halosos, Javier, Co, Konghun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lagman, Lanete, Laugan, Lasatin, Liachon, Lee, Limkaychong, Lobrigat, Lopez Benur, Lopez Carlo, Lopez Manuel, Loyola, Mapaglaroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Manalo, Mangawang, Magdudato Suarto, Magdudato Sajid, Marcoleta, Marcos, Mariño, Marquez, Martinez, Matugas, Miliana, Mending, Mendoza, Mercado, Mirasol, Montoro, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Carlo, Nolasco, Núñez Maliñaon, Guaminal, Ocampo, Olivares, Ong Edwin, Ong Henry, Ortega Pablo, Ortega Vini, Pacquiao, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panganiban, Panotes, Papandayan, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Primicia Sagabas, Kimbo, Radasa, Ramiresato, Ramos, Relampagos, Revilla, Robapuno, Robes, Rocamora, Rodriguez Isidro, Rodriguez Máximo, Roman, Romero, Romualdez, Romualdo, Roquehari, Roque Rogelio, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sahali, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Salon, Sambar, Sandoval, Santos Recto, Sarmiento Cesar, Sarmiento Edgar, Sevillano, Sema, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Swansing Sirita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez, Si Alvarado, Tambunting, Tan Angelina, Tan Milagrosa, Tan Sherny, Tejada, Teves, Chanco, Ting, Tiño, Tolentino, Treñas, Tugna, Tupas, Turabinataman, Ti, Umali, Unabia, Ungab, Unico, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Uy Beretta, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velarde, Velasco, Velasco Catera, Veloso, Vergara, Villaperte, Villanueva, Villarasa Suarez, Villarica, Villarin, Villago, Yap Artur, Yap Melesio, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Marcamen, Zamora Ronaldo, Sarate, Subiri.
With 214 members voting in the affirmative, 0 against, and 0 abstention, the chair declares House Bill 6316 as having been approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the consideration on third reading of House Bill number 6418. For this purpose, may I request that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill and thereafter to call the roll for nominal voting.
The Secretary General will read the title of the House Bill and thereafter call the roll for nominal voting.
An act declared House Bill number 6418, an act declaring October 26 every year special non-working holiday in the province of Catanduanes to be known as the Foundation Day of Catanduanes. Roll call of members, consideration House Bill number 6418. Abad, Abaya, Abayon, Avillanosa, Abu, Abueg, Acharon, Acop, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adjong, Advincula, Agarao, Agabao, Aglipay Villar, Albano, Alcala, Alejano, Almario, Almonte, Alonte, Alvarez Franz, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amatong, Andaya, Angara Castillo, Antonino, Antonio, Aquino Magsaysay, Aragones, Arbizon, Arcillas, Arenas, Atienza, Aumentado, Bagaw, Bagaching, Bagilat, Banal, Barbers, Barsaga, Batawil, Batocabe, Bautista Bandigan, Belaro, Belmonte Feliciano, Belmonte Si Christopher, Belmonte Ricardo, Benitez, Bernos, Bertiz, Biason, Billones, Biron, Bulilla, Bundok, Bordado, Bravo Anthony, Bravo Maravida, Brosas, Bulut Begtang, Cagas, Calderon, Calixtorbiano, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Cari, Casilaw, Castelo, Castrofrans, Castropedinil, Catamco, Cayetano, Celeste, Serafica, Cerilles, Chavez, Chipeco, Cubanco, Collantes, Cortés, Cortuna, Cosalan, Crisólogo, Cuba, Cuaresma, Cueva, Dalipe, Datol, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, De Vera, Defensor, Del Mar, Del Rosario, De Los Montalia, de Vaporo Abdullah, de Vaporo Khalid, Duavit, Durano, Di, El Lago, Enverga, Erice, Eriguel, Ermita Buhain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Eusebio, Evardone, Fariñas, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Ferriol, Florendo, Flores, Fortuno, Fuentebella, Garbin, García Gwendolyn, García José, García Albano, Garin Richard, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gachalian, Heron, Guana Cristina, Go Mark, Gomez, Gonzaga, González Alexandria, González Aurelio Dong, González Fernando, Gorizeta, Gullias, Hernández, Herrera D, Hofer, Halosos, Javier, Conghun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lagman, Lanete, Laugan, Lasatin, Liechon, Lim Kaichong, Lobrigat, Lopez Benhur, Lopez Carlo, Lopez Manuel, Loyola, Magpacalaroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Manalo, Mangawang, Magudadatu Suarto, Magudadatu Sajid, Marcoleta, Marcos, Mariño, Marquez, Martínez, Matugas, Meliana, Mending, Mendoza, Mercado, Mirasol, Montoro, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Carlo, Nolasco, Núñez Maliñaon, Waminal, Ocampo, Olivares, Ong Edwin, Ong Henry, Ortega Pablo, Ortega Vini, Pacquiao, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panganiban, Panotes, Papandayan, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Primicia Sagabas, Kimbo, Randaza, Ramiresato, Ramos, Relámpagos, Revilla, Robapuno, Robes, Rocamora, Rodríguez Isidro, Rodríguez Máximo, Roman, Romero, Romualdez, Romualdo, Roquejari, Roque Rogelio, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sahali, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Salon, Sambar, Sandoval, Santos Recto, Sarmiento Cesar, Sarmiento Edgar, Sevillano, Sema, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Swansing Estrita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez, Si Alvarado, Tambunting, Tanangelina, Tan Milagrosa, Tan Sherny, Tejada, Teves, Chanco, Ting, Tiño, Tolentino, Treñas, Tugna, Tupas, Turabin Taman, Ti, Umali, Unabia, Ungab, Unico, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Uy Bareta, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velarde, Velasco, Velasco Catera, Veloso, Vergara, Villaperte, Villanueva, Villarasa Suarez, Villarica, Villarin, Yulago, Yap Arthur, Yap Melesio, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Mar Carmen, Zamora Ronaldo, Zarate, Subiri.
With 214 members voting in the affirmative, 0 against, and 0 abstention, the chair declares House Bill 6418 as having been approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the consideration on third reading of House Joint Resolution number 15. For this purpose, may I request that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the joint resolution and thereafter to call the roll for nominal voting.
The Secretary General will please read the title of the joint House Bill Joint Resolution, House Joint Resolution, and thereafter call the roll for nominal voting.
House Joint Resolution number 15, Joint Resolution authorizing the National Housing Authority to award to other qualified beneficiaries the awarded the housing units in the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Philippine National Police, Bureau of Fire Protection, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, Bureau of Corrections, housing projects, awarded housing units that are not yet occupied and whose ownership and possession are surrendered by their respective awardees, and housing units whose respective awards were cancelled by reason of default in the payment of amortization or for any violation of the terms and conditions of the individual loan agreement in accordance with existing laws. Roll call of members. Consideration House Joint Resolution number 15. Abad, Abaya, Abayon, Abellanosa, Abu, Abueg, Acharon, Acop, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adjong, Advincula, Agrao, Agabao, Aglipay Villar, Albano, Alcala, Alejano, Almario, Almonte, Alonte, Alvarez France, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amatong, Andaya, Angara Castillo, Antonino, Antonio, Aquino Magsaysay, Aragones, Arbison, Arcillas, Arenas, Atienza, Aumentado, Bagao, Bagaching, Bagilat, Banal, Barbers, Barsaga, Batawil, Batocabe, Bautista Bandigan, Bilaro, Belmonte Feliciano, Belmonte Jose Christopher, Belmonte Ricardo, Benitez, Bernos, Bertiz, Biason, Billones, Biron, Bulilla, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo Anthony, Bravo Maravida, Brosas, Bulot Bectang, Cagas, Calderon, Calixorbiano, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Cari, Casilaw, Castelo, Caso Franz, Caso Pradinil, Catamco, Cayetano, Celeste, Seráfica, Cerilles, Chávez, Chepeco, Co, Coanco, Collantes, Cortés, Cortuna, Cosalan, Crisólogo, Cuba, Cuaresma, Cueva, Dalipe, Datol, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, De Vera, Defensor, Del Mar, Del Rosario, De Los Montaña, Dimaporo Dula, Dimaporo Khalid, Duavit, Durano, Di, Elago, Enverga, Erice, Eriguel, Ermita Buain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Eusebio, Verdone, Fariñas, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Ferriol, Floirendo, Flores, Fortun, Fortuno, Fentebella, Garbin, García Gwendolyn, García José, García Albano, Garin Richard, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gachalian, Heron, Goana Cristina, Gomark, Gomez, Gonzaga, González Alexandria, González Aurelio Dong, González Fernando, Goriseta, Gullias, Hernández, Herrera D, Hofer, Halosos, Javier, Co, Conghun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lagman, Lanete, Laugan, Lisatin, Liachon, Lee, Limcaychong, Lobrigat, Lopez Benur, Lopez Carlo, Lopez Manuel, Loyola, Macapagal-Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Manalo, Mangawang, Mangudadato Suarto, Mangudadato Sajid, Marcoleta, Marcos, Mariño, Marquez, Martinez, Matugas, Miliana, Minding, Mendoza, Mercado, Mirasol, Montoro, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Carlo, Nolasco, Núñez Maliñaon, Waminal, Ocampo, Olivares, Ong Edwin, Ong Henry, Ortega Pablo, Ortega Vini, Pacquiao, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panganiban, Panotes, Papandayan, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Primicia Sagabas, Kimbo, Radasa, Ramiresato, Ramos, Relampagos, Revilla, Roapuno, Robes, Rocamora, Rodriguez Isidro, Rodriguez Máximo, Roman, Romero, Romualdez, Romualdo, Roquejari, Roque Rogelio, Raxdalan, Sagarbaria, Sahari, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Salon, Sambar, Sandoval, Santos Recto, Sarmiento Cesar, Sarmiento Edgar, Savillano, Sema, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Swansing Estrita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez, Si Alvarado, Tambunting, Tan Angelina, Tan Milagrosa, Tan Shirley, Tejada, Teves, Chanco, Ting, Tiño, Tolentino, Treñas, Tugna, Tupas, Turabinataman, Ti, Umali, Unabia, Ungab, Unico, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Uy Beretta, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velarde, Velasco, Velasco Catera, Veloso, Vergara, Villafuerte, Villanueva, Villaraza Suarez, Villarica, Villarin, Yulago, Yap Arthur, Yap Melesio, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Marcamen, Zamora Arnaldo, Zarate, Subiri.
With 214 members voting in the affirmative, 0 against, and 0 abstention, the chair declares House Joint Resolution number 15 as having been approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, in accordance with our rules governing inquiries in aid of legislation, I move that we refer the following House resolutions to the appropriate committees. House Resolution 1325 to the Committee on Justice, House Resolution 1328 to the Committee on Justice, House Resolution number 1329 to the Committee on National Defense and Security, House Resolution 1330 to the Committee on National Defense and Security, House Resolution 1331 to the Committee on Overseas Workers' Affairs, House Resolution 1332 to the Committee of Public Works and Highways, and House Resolution 1336 to the Committee on Public Order and Safety. So moved, Madam Speaker.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we transmit to the Senate the bills that we have approved on third reading.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, I move for a brief suspension.
The session is suspended.
Madam Speaker, I move to resume session.
Session is resumed.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the privilege hour.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize Representative Anacito John Bertis III from the party list ACTS OFW.
Honorable Aniceto John Bertis III is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader. Madam Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I rise today to bring to your attentions the alleged irregularities in the public bidding in relations with the LTO procurement of vehicle license plates for the calendar year 2017 in the amount of 998,800,000 pesos. Ningalaw. On July 21, 2017, Madam Speaker, the Land Transportation Office published an invitations to bid for the procurement of motor vehicle license plates for the calendar year 2017, stating therein that it tends to apply the sum of 98,800,000 pesos through the General Fund 101 for the calendar year 2017, being the approved budget for the contract as and for the payment of motorcycle license plate. During the pre-bid conference on July 31, 2017, Bids and Awards Committee chaired by Attorney Romeo G. Veracruz was questioned on the source of funds for the said project in view of the absence of any appropriations under the General Appropriation Act of 2017, nor the presence of special provisions or an existing or continuing appropriations for the project. BAC Chairman Attorney Veracruz allegedly said the General Fund and the GAA are similar and used synonymously, and thereupon pointed to page 164 under the heading Motor Vehicle Registration and Driver's License Regulatory Services of the GAA 2017 as the source of funds for the project. It was also raised during the pre-bid conference that the public bidding was rigged and manipulated, as evidenced by the fact that the term of reference has been patterned and copied almost verbatim, as you can see on the slide. In material respect from the proposal or brochure of a foreign participating bidder previously presented before the LTO with the intention to specifically suit a particular participating bidder and thereby causing irreparable damage, loss, and prejudice to the paramount interests of the Filipino people and the Republic of the Philippines. Despite the LTO's failure and refusal to address the issues raised regarding the absence of funding and the public bidding was allegedly rigged and manipulated, the LTO proceeded with the opening of bids on September 13, 2017. The LTO conducted the opening of bids on September 13, 2017, or a period of 48 days from the last day of posting of the invitation to bid up to the opening of the bids. This, Madam Speaker, again violates the mandatory 45 calendar day rule as the maximum period for the completions of the proceedings from the last posting of the invitation to bid up to the opening of the bids provided. For under the provisions of Section 25, Paragraph 4 of the revised implementing rules and regulations of Republic Act Number 9184, there were 3 bidders for the project, namely, first, the Trojan Computer Firms, J.H. Tonhes Each GmbH; second, Uch AG Holy Family Printing Corporation's joint venture; and number 3, iPay Commerce Enterprise, EHA Hoffman International GmbH, and Madras Security Printers Private Limited, joint venture. Uch AG Holy Family Printing Corporation joint venture was declared to be disqualified after the opening of the first envelope. Among the 2 remaining bidders, Trojan Computer Firms, J.H. Tonjes Each GmbH was declared the lowest winning bidder with a bid amount of 978,800,000 pesos. The difference between the approved budget for the contract in the amount of 998 million and the lowest bid of computer firms J.H. Tonjes Each GmbH in the amount of 978,800,000 pesos was a mere 19,200,000 pesos only. Just for comparison purpose, Madam Speaker, in the 2013 public bidding of the license plates under the Land Transportation Office Motor Vehicle Plate Standardization Program, the difference between the approved budget for the contract in the amount of 3,852,000,000 and the lowest winning bid in the amount of 3,170,000,000 was 682 million difference. Madam Speaker, since 2013, the OFW, like the rest of our people, have been complaining about the unprecedented delays on not just the vehicle plates but also the driver's license. Up to date, complaints keep coming and our OFW are easily subjected to unnecessary problems as a result of the LTO license delays. Given these alleged irregularities in the bidding process for the LTO procurement of vehicle license plates, I think it is very important to call on the LTO to revisit the aforementioned public bidding to ensure that the proper legal processes were adhered to and determine and validated whether there is a rigged and manipulated public bidding and whether there were violations of Republic Act Number 9184. In the spirit of transparency, Madam Speaker, and in line with the government fights against corruptions, it is imperative that we look into a governmental processes involved in the production of these motor vehicles and motor license plates, determined if there are instances of corruptions and help eliminate it accordingly. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you so much, Deputy Majority Leader, and thank you so much, my honorable colleague.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Tony Bravo to interpolate.
Honorable Bravo is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Majority Floor Leader. Will the distinguished representative from ACTS OFW yield to some questions from this representation?
Yes, Madam Speaker, and yes, Honorable Tony Bravo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, distinguished colleague.
Please
As I've been
proceed.
listening from the privileged speech that was propounded by the representative from OFW, I deduce about a general fund that was the basis or the source of the procurement.
Totalities of the national government, including constitutional offices, enjoying fiscal autonomy in the exercise of their mandated functions at such rates as are now or may be approved by the appropriate approving authority, shall be deposited with the National Treasury as income of the General Fund pursuant to Section 44, Chapter Book 6 of Executive Order Number 292, 1987, and Section 65 of Presidential Decree Number 1445. Disbursement or expenditures by agency from use and retention of income absence legal authority and or from income deposited outside the National Treasury without legal basis shall be void and subject to hearing officials and employees to disciplinary actions in accordance with the Section 43, Chapter 5, and Section 80, Chapter 7, Book 6 of Executive Number 292, and to appropriate criminal actions under existing law. In short, Madam Speaker, the General Fund is a fund which is available for any purpose to which the Congress may choose to apply and is composed of all receipts or revenue which are not otherwise accruing to other funds. Madam Speaker.
Thank you for that answer, distinguished colleague. Therefore, can the general fund be used by agencies and instrumentalities of government for their expenditure like this in case about the procurement of vehicle plates?
Thank you, Honorable Bravo. Madam Speaker, yes, provided there has been a previously enacted law authorizing the expenditures in the form of an existing or continuing appropriations which continue to remain valid as an appropriations authority for the expenditures of public funds. There are two types of existing appropriation, Madam Speaker, continuing and automatic. Continuing appropriation refers to appropriations available to support obligations for a specified purpose of our project, such as multi-year construction projects which requires the incurrence of obligations even beyond the budget year. Examples, Madam Speaker, continuing appropriation are those from existing laws such as Republic Act 8150, other known as the Public Works Act of 1995, and Republic Act number 6657 and Republic Act 8532, which set funds specifically for the Agrarian Reform Program. Currently, appropriations for capital outlays and maintenance and other operating expenses are considered as continuing appropriations, but only for a period of 2 years, Madam Speaker. Automatic appropriations, on the other hand, Madam Speaker, refer to the appropriations program annually or for some other period prescribed by law, by virtue of outstanding legislation which does not require periodic actions by Congress. Falling under this category are expenditure authorized under the Presidential Decree 1967, Republic Act 4860, and Republic Act 245 as amended. For the servicing of domestic and foreign debts, Commonwealth Act 186 and Republic Act 6660. For the retirement and insurance premium of government employees, Presidential Decree 1177 and Executive Order 292. For net lending to the government corporations and Presidential Decree 1234 for various special accounts and funds, Madam Speaker.
In other words, Madam Speaker, distinguished colleague, if the House of Congress failed to include particular expenditure in 2017. As you made mention, if there are fund that is under continuing in automatic appropriation, the agency can proceed. Madam Speaker, distinguished colleague, along that line, would you know if there has been an existing or continuing appropriation for purposes of the expenditure for this procurement?
Thank you, Honorable Bravo. Madam Speaker, none that I know, Madam Speaker.
I have seen, Madam Speaker, distinguished colleague, in the 2017 that we approved last year, in fact, I photocopied one, 164, page 164 of General Appropriations Act of 2017. There appear an appropriation under the heading of Motor Vehicle Registration and Driver Licensing Regulatory Services. And I have seen amount of 1.690 billion. Can this be a possible source of fund for the procurement of vehicle plates? Madam Speaker, distinguished colleague.
Madam Speaker, the said item of appropriation under the heading of Motor Vehicle Registration and Driver's License Regulatory Services cannot include the procurement of license plates since motor vehicle registration is distinctly different from the procurement of license plate, Madam Speaker. In the 2013 GAA General Appropriation Act, there was a specific item of appropriations for the procurement of license plate under the heading Motor Vehicle Plate Making Project, Madam Speaker. At the same time, there was a separate and distinct item of appropriations under the heading Processing of Registration Applications, Inspections of Motor Vehicles for Identity, Safety, Weight, Classification, Roadworthiness, and others, which is similar to the motor vehicle registrations. It was the intentions of Congress to appropriate funds for the procurement of license plate, then it would have specifically provided for such an item of appropriations in the GAA 2017, as it did in 2013. For this reason alone, Madam Speaker, the appropriations for motor vehicle registration cannot be used for the procurements of plates, Madam Speaker.
Along that line, Madam Speaker, distinguished sponsor, what is your basis or authority for such statement that it cannot be used under such heading?
Thank you, Mr. Honorable Bravo. Kahirap ng perap tanong mo. Madam Speaker, in the Supreme Court en banc case, De La Cruz and Tambunting versus Ochoa Jr. et al., GR number L-219683, which involved the 2013 procurement of LTO license plate in the amount of 3.8 billion pesos of the Office of the Solicitor General, acting its role as the tribune of the people, stated categorically and in no uncertain terms of its manifestations in lieu of comment, pages 28 to 32, that the procurement of license plates is not included in the appropriations under the heading of Motor Vehicle Registrations and Driver's License Regulatory Services. Madam Speaker, in that case, the OSG adopted the positions of our colleagues, Petitioner Congressman De La Cruz and Tambunting, and which effectively denied legal representations for the public respondent. Madam Speaker, I have joined our colleague, Petitioners Congressmen De La Cruz and Tambunting, in preventing and stopping agency, particularly in this case, the LTO, in committing reprehensible infringe and affronts on the powers of these august chambers to appropriate under the provisions of Section 29 of Article 6 of the Philippine Constitution. The LTO has initially committed such an affront when it misrepresented to use the general fund as indicated in the recent invitation to bid for the procurement of the LTO's driver's license cards in the amount of 836 million. The anomalous public bidding was without lawful appropriations by Congress. We will not permit the LTO to again infringe the constitutional powers of Congress as provided for the under said Section 29 of Article 6 of the Philippine Constitutions in unlawfully using the general fund for the procurement of vehicle license plates for the calendar year 2017 in the amount of 998 million. Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much for that very comprehensive answer, Madam Speaker, distinguished colleague. This representation truly believes that you have the reason, valid reason, to call the attention of this honorable body. And I would like to commend the distinguished representative from AXO FW for having that courage to reveal such alleged irregularities in terms of procurement by the government agency. With that, Madam Speaker, I am in a position to support the position of the Honorable Representative of ACO FW in requesting for investigation on the matter. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, the good gentleman representative from ACO FW.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, we will present this document and other incriminating proofs of criminal involvements during the investigation inquiry in aid of legislation to pinpoint not only the fact of collusions and manipulations, but likewise the culpability of the personality and characters who appear to be responsible for this attempt to plunder and coffers of the government. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much, Honorable Tony Bravo, Ibaca Bravo. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much, Majority Leader Trinas.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Bertis, including the interpellation, to the Committee on Rules.
Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for suspension.
Session is suspended. Session is resumed.
Madam Speaker, I move that we adjourn session until Monday, October 9,
Is there an
2017
objection?
at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
The chair hears none. Session is adjourned until 4 o'clock, Monday, October 9.